What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Thursday, March 17th, 2022. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Happy full moon in Virgo. I appreciate you all so much. Hope that everybody's doing well as we're building up to this full moon. Of course, it will be technically on Friday. It's happening at about midnight tonight. So definitely a big full moon build up to a peak out coming into Thursday, if you want to use that time system. If you watch my weekly, I kind of went into a lot of those programs and that time system and how reality is just changing rapidly with Uranus and Taurus. And with the astrology right now, we're going to want to get a reality check on where reality is actually going. Let's take a look at the charts. I do have two charts for you today. We're going to see the sun at 27 degrees of Pisces. These last few degrees of Pisces are chaos. I mean, they really are. It gets so far out there. We can get so lost in ideals and dreams and fantasies, and we have to really, with this full moon that's building and this moon in Virgo, really reel it into reality and actually use some common sense, use some analytics, try to figure out what's real, what's not. And I think that's just where it's hard, and the moon's going to oppose Jupiter. And it's going to start the day in opposition to Mercury, and Mercury and Jupiter are getting close. So our higher mind and our lower mind, our right brain, our left brain, everything's kind of starting to come really tight, and it is in Jupiter's home. It is in Neptune's home. The sun's there. We're at this really far out place, and I think Thursday's a big reality check. And especially with Uranus at 12 degrees, which I would like to show you, but there we go. And with Uranus at 12 and Venus at 10 and getting ready by the end of today and for that full moon to come to 11, it is really pressing on that square to Uranus. The only way to find value right now is in out of the ordinary connections that are actually elevating you and taking you high, but they have to have the real factor built into it. They have to be pure. And I think that's really too with Pisces and Virgo. I mean, this is the purity of your soul, the purity of your reality. Virgo is the virgin, right? The harvest. So this is where, yes, we can come to a place where we can really let go of things that are not harvesting the most pure reality for our soul, or the most pure connections, or the connections that aren't blowing our minds right now. It's almost like we're at a point where it's like people could shock us. Like relationship energy could be shocking. And we can try and force a connection or force people into doing things. You can see people being forced to do things in life right now that they really don't want to do. And I think that's where we have to come back and remember the human factor of life right now. We're seeing Chiron at 11 degrees with Venus also making that sextile to Chiron in Aries. And with the moon in Virgo, we are at this point of cutting away a reality that isn't of our pure nature, but it isn't of humility, and it isn't of really embracing the human that we all are and the uniqueness that we all can bring to the table. And it's not by doing everything that we've already done. It's not by repeating these cycles over and over again or getting stuck in loops. It's by actually making the real change that I think subconsciously we know we need to make. And that's where this full moon's a big changer. Full moons are always a releasing aspect or a peak out of oh my gosh, and then letting something kind of go. So wherever we're not harvesting a really pure reality or pure connections or something exciting or something different, we have to look at why we're doing these things over and over and over again. And with this 27th degree with the sun, really consciously trust our feeling, but also get back to the reality and make sure that we're not just envisioning some fantasy, but that there is real grounded substance and backing behind these certain aspects in our life and in our reality. So we look at the actual full moon. Of course, it will be at 27:40 and it will be at 12:17 Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time, excuse me. But it's big. It's big energy. And of course, Mercury's coming off the sextile to Uranus. And for this full moon, Venus will be 1 degree away from the square to Uranus. And the moon's going to, kind of directly, just a few hours after this, enter into Libra. So a lot of this is the purity of relationships, the purity of people and humanity and humility, as I mentioned before with the sextile to Chiron. But it's also very Plutonian, right? Because the moon's going to make that trine over to Pluto, and the Earth in Pisces at 27 degrees is just minutes of geometry away from, on Friday, making that sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. So it really is these like kind of intense, big, grown-up decisions in our life that are part of the purification, they're part of the harvest, they're part of the changes, and we have to find that real essence in our soul, that real power within us to find the courage and the grit and the determination to change things and to cut away old cycles, old stories, old programs. This is such a deprogramming full moon to me. It's like all these stories we've ever told ourselves about where the future was going to go. I think, since 2020, we can see that all of that changed. We all had ideals or dreams before that of what we thought life would be like. And I think we're really reaching a point now where it's a big reality check that those were just fantasies and they were a dream. And dreams are beautiful. And I'm not trying to sit here and knock dreams today or anything, but there is this like reality check on if those dreams are possible, if there's actual substance, if there's realness. Earlier in the day, we are seeing the moon also make that aspect to the nodes. So that was kind of a build-up earlier in the day that I didn't talk about, but moon trine the north node. We have to know our worth, and I think that's where Venus square Uranus is hard, because we can feel like we're in such a weird or isolated or cold place, but we have to realize that our uniqueness is our capacity to create. It is how we can build things and create life right now. And this is such a time of like pulling that grit and determination, especially with Pluto and the trine over there and the sextile to the sun, but even with the nodes and the moon earlier in the day, there is something about being able to pull that deep power, that grit, those desires and make the changes necessary for what you're growing in life and what you're harvesting. And I think that that's the big part of this full moon and of this Friday, or it's really this Thursday. I was looking at this, getting trapped in the spell, because that's the thing. There's so many spells going on in our reality that this is this moment of seeing through a lot of the spells we put on ourselves and the spells that were put on us through outside sources, but realizing how powerful we are when we come into our human, when we come into our determination, our grit to make changes, to get out of cycles, and to do something that's really pure to the essence of our soul, without trying to manipulate or without trying to make everything one size fits all, because that's not where we empower ourselves. It's in the uniqueness to take our reality to a radical new place that maybe we've never experienced. We definitely haven't experienced it, but it's also the courage to keep climbing and to not give up, to get to that spot. So I'm sending you the best energy, of course, for this full moon, and I hope that we're all able to release some kind of ideal in life that it isn't showing up, because this is where, with Pluto, these final degrees of Capricorn, things just have to be showing up, or they're not part of the destiny. And that's the hard part with the sextile to the sun in Pisces, is we can think that anything is possible. And I don't want to make it sound like that's not true, because I do believe that there is magic in that intention, but there's certain things that maybe they are true, but maybe they're not ready to show up. There's like this destiny element, there's this fated element, and there's certain things that we have to deal with now that are the reality check that maybe do get us to a dream, but it's not the same dream of a past or of a cycle. It's like we're graduating heavily from that past world, that past cycle, and this is about learning the capacity and the ability and the beauty that you have to create moving forward. So we just got to get real a little bit. I know that's hard with the Pisces energy and Mercury in Pisces. And it's just like so many dreams, so many visions, But this is the check on if those visions have the substance. So I love you guys. Appreciate you, and I hope that you do have a great day. And let's see what the tarot is. Wow, the Star card, upright. This is definitely a time of a fresh new beginning, and it's like we've gone through so many stages in life already where we've come to this sort of completion moment, and this is this vulnerable new beginning and this vulnerability that is so beautiful in that, and it shows us that we're all so human and that we can really go at this from a pure place from our soul and be guided into the right direction of really knowing where to pour our energy and to replenish our energy and how to really be in a divine flow state that is reality based and not just so much of a vision or a dream, but it kind of takes us back to these beginning steps. But it's not the beginning, it's just the beginning of a more enlightened chapter in your consciousness and in your life. And the Page of Rods, the curiosity to create in life, the curiosity to make something come to life, to bring some of that just really creative energy and youthful energy, and that we just have to be willing sometimes to look at things from that youthful place, and that's where some of the best things can come from. And we don't always know the answers. We don't always have it all figured out. So being in that young state, I think, right now, but also realizing that we have reached a mature state in our consciousness, that it's okay that if a new cycle can start, or it's okay that changes can be made for your reality, because that's where some of the best creative aspects can still yet to be found on this journey. And the Fool card, what a trip. You know, there's so much about this that it can feel sobering. It can feel like we were a fool for some of the things we did, but it's not about playing the victim. It's definitely about being almost like having a naive approach to life, to just experience and to be human and to have that humility built in and to see where the journey can go. And it's not like we're not guided. It's not like we don't have something bigger pulling the strings. You know, sometimes it can feel like we're all left alone or isolated, especially with Saturn in Saturn in Aquarius. Like we're so blocked from the connection that we want to have in reality or with society. But this is where we got to, I think, kind of pony up in some ways and realize that it is this. I mean, these are all very youthful cards to me. So it's like there's just like finding these fresh beginnings, and we're about to come into Aries season and start that astrological new year. So I think this is a big reality check on where are you really going? And are you following your intuition, or is your intuition, is it off? Is it being altered by some outer source, by something else? And that's where I think the sobering can come in. But I think that it's beautiful getting these cards. And the final one I'm going to pull is the Ace of Rods in reverse, which to me is like not really wanting to take the initiative and the action here to go define a path right now. Feeling like we have to be told like what to do, or we have to go into some vision or ideal that we've already had, and it's like, no, we have to go into something fresh. And there can be fear around that kind of a new start, and I think the emotion can be heightened around that. I'm going to pull one more. Two of Pentacles. I don't know, feeling like we're in between worlds a little bit, feeling like we have to really trust our intuition. We have to trust where the tides of reality are going, where the universe is taking us, being in a flow state, but also getting back to the physical and the land and the value of the situation in life, and not feeling like we're stuck in limbo about a new journey or a new quest that does feel vulnerable and sensitive, but almost feels like it also has to be gone on. So I love you all very much. I hope you have a beautiful full moon. I hope you find all the purity and really do harvest the reality that is not just a dream, but it can also be the reality in your life. See you for Friday's horoscope. Much love. Peace.